Think about the glass of milk you poured this morning, or the cheese melting on your pizza last night, or the butter you spread on toast without a second thought, the yogurt you grabbed from the fridge, the ice cream you had on a warm afternoon. Dairy is so deeply woven into daily life that most people never once stop to ask the question that actually matters: how does it get here? Not the grocery store, not the factory that packaged it, the very beginning, the cow, the farm, the milking system. Because before that glass of milk was cold and white and sitting in your refrigerator, it came from an animal that was carefully bred, precisely fed, medically monitored, and milked not once but 2 or 3 times every single day by systems so advanced and so large in scale that they would genuinely change the way you see every dairy product you have ever eaten. The world's largest dairy farms house tens of thousands of cows and produce millions of gallons of milk every single year. Today, we are going inside that world, the science, the machines, the people, and the extraordinary story of how modern dairy farming actually works. Let's go. The United States is the largest producer of cow's milk in the world, producing over 225 billion pounds of milk every single year. That is more milk than any other country on Earth by a significant margin. Within the U.S., dairy farming is concentrated in several key regions. California, Wisconsin, Idaho, New York, and Texas lead production, but the model of modern industrial dairy farming that dominates the industry today looks essentially the same whether the farm is in California's Central Valley, the flat plains of Idaho, or the rolling farmland of Wisconsin. The largest dairy operations in the United States house anywhere from 5,000 to over 50,000 cows on a single property, and globally, the largest farms in countries like Saudi Arabia, China, and New Zealand push those numbers even further. The Al Safi dairy farm in Saudi Arabia, for example, has operated one of the world's largest single-site dairy operations in the middle of the Arabian desert, housing tens of thousands of Holstein cows and producing millions of liters of fresh milk annually in one of the most inhospitable climates on Earth. That fact alone tells you something extraordinary about how far modern dairy technology has pushed the boundaries of what is possible. Before we get into how a modern dairy farm actually works, you need to understand something about dairy cows that most people have never thought about, and it changes the whole picture. A cow does not just produce milk all the time automatically. A cow produces milk because she has given birth to a calf. Just like any other mammal, a dairy cow's body produces milk to feed her young. On a commercial dairy farm, cows are bred to give birth approximately once a year, and after each birth, the cow enters a lactation period during which she produces milk. The modern Holstein cow, the large black and white breed that dominates commercial dairy production worldwide, has been selectively bred over generations to produce extraordinary quantities of milk, far beyond what her calf would ever need. A high-producing Holstein cow today can produce over 25,000 pounds of milk in a single lactation, more than 10 times what a cow would produce in nature. This breeding achievement is both remarkable and central to the economics of the entire dairy industry, and it means that on a modern dairy farm, every management decision, feeding, housing, health monitoring, and milking schedule is designed around one primary goal: maximizing the quantity and quality of milk each cow produces in every single lactation of her working life. Modern large-scale dairy farms are built around a concept called a free-stall barn system. Instead of being tied in individual stalls the way old-fashioned dairy cows were, modern cows live in large open barns with hundreds or thousands of animals, free to move between resting stalls, feeding areas, and water stations throughout the day. The barns are engineered for cow comfort in ways that most people would find surprising. The floor surfaces are carefully managed to prevent slipping, the resting stalls are bedded with sand or recycled manure solids for maximum comfort, ventilation systems maintain precise airflow to keep cows cool in summer, and lighting is managed to create an 18-hour light day that research has shown increases milk production. Every detail of the barn environment has been studied, measured, and optimized to reduce cow stress, because a stressed cow produces less milk, and on a farm housing 10,000 cows, even a small reduction in per-cow productivity translates into enormous financial loss. Cow comfort is not sentimentality on a modern dairy farm, it is pure economics. Nutrition is the other foundation of high-production dairy farming. Modern large-scale dairy cows are fed a precisely formulated diet called a total mixed ration, or TMR, which is a blend of corn silage, hay, grain, protein supplements, vitamins, and minerals mixed together into a single feed that ensures every bite the cow takes is nutritionally balanced. The TMR is mixed by a dairy nutritionist, a specialized professional who calculates the exact nutrient requirements of the herd based on their stage of lactation, body condition, and production targets. On large farms, the TMR is mixed by enormous feed wagons and pushed to feeding areas multiple times per day so that fresh feed is always available. A high-producing dairy cow eats over 100 pounds of feed and drinks 30 to 50 gallons of water every single day. Managing feed intake and nutrition across tens of thousands of animals is a logistical and scientific operation of genuine complexity. And then comes the milking, which is the most operationally demanding and most technologically sophisticated part of the entire dairy farm. On most large dairy farms, cows are milked 2 to 3 times every day, and each milking is a precisely timed, precisely managed operation. The most common system is the milking parlor, where groups of cows are moved from their free stall barns into a dedicated milking facility attached to milking machines that clean the udder, stimulate milk letdown, and extract milk through vacuum-powered teat cups, all in a process that takes about 5 to 8 minutes per cow. On a rotary milking parlor, the most impressive milking system in large-scale dairy, a large circular platform rotates slowly while cows step on at one point and ride the platform around as workers or automated systems attach the milking equipment. The milk is extracted during the rotation, and the equipment is automatically removed before the cow steps off the platform at the exit. A large rotary parlor can milk over 1,000 cows an hour in a continuous operation that runs nearly 24 hours a day. Standing beside a rotary milking parlor in full operation is one of the most hypnotic and genuinely impressive industrial sights in all of food production. The most advanced large dairy farms have moved beyond even rotary parlors to robotic milking systems, automatic milking machines that allow cows to choose when they want to be milked. In these systems, a cow walks voluntarily into a robotic milking box at any time of day or night. The robot uses laser and sensor technology to locate and attach teat cups automatically. The cow is milked in about 7 minutes, and she walks out on her own. The robot records every milking event, time, duration, milk quantity, and milk quality indicators, giving farm managers a continuous real-time picture of every cow's health and production. A cow that suddenly produces less milk or shows changed milking behavior is flagged by the system for veterinary review before a human might even notice the change. These systems have transformed small and medium dairy farms in Scandinavia, the Netherlands, and Canada, where robotic milking has reduced labor requirements dramatically while improving cow health outcomes. From the milking parlor or the robotic box, fresh milk travels through stainless steel pipes directly to a refrigerated bulk tank where it is cooled to below 40 degrees Fahrenheit within minutes of leaving the cow. Every 2 to 3 days, a tanker truck arrives and pumps the milk from the bulk tank for transport to a processing facility. Every load is tested for antibiotic residues, bacterial counts, somatic cell counts, and fat and protein content before it's accepted. Any load that fails any test is rejected entirely. The safety standards for raw milk in the U.S. dairy industry are among the strictest in the food system. At the processing plant, the milk is pasteurized, homogenized, and separated into the products you see on store shelves: fluid milk, cream, butter, cheese, yogurt, ice cream, and dozens of other dairy products that together generate over $40 billion in retail sales in the United States alone. The people who make this industry run are a deeply diverse workforce, from multi-generational dairy farming families in Wisconsin who have managed their herds through decades of industry change, to the predominantly Latino immigrant workers who make up the majority of the daily labor force on large dairy operations in California, Idaho, and Texas. These workers, feeding crews, milking parlor operators, calf care workers, manure management crews, work in cold, wet, physically demanding conditions around the clock 365 days a year. The cows do not stop producing milk on holidays, and the people who care for them do not get to stop either. The dairy industry runs continuously, and the human cost of that continuity falls most heavily on workers whose contribution to every glass of milk you have ever poured is almost completely invisible. The challenges facing the dairy industry are significant and growing. Consolidation has driven thousands of small and medium dairy farms out of business over the past 30 years as the economics of scale favor ever larger operations. Environmental pressure is intense. A large dairy farm produces enormous quantities of manure and greenhouse gas emissions that require sophisticated management systems and are the subject of increasing regulatory scrutiny. And changing consumer behavior, with plant-based milk alternatives capturing a growing share of the fluid milk market, is creating structural demand uncertainty that is reshaping the industry's long-term planning. Yet, innovation continues. Methane capture systems are turning cow waste into renewable energy on some of the most advanced operations. Precision livestock technology is improving animal health outcomes in ways that reduce both veterinary costs and antibiotic use. And a new generation of dairy farmers are approaching the business with data, technology, and sustainability commitments that would be unrecognizable to their grandparents. The next time you pour a glass of cold milk, take 1 second to think about everything that made it possible. A cow carefully bred over generations to produce extraordinary